Hey there, everyone. Justin with SF Garnish Music Production and Soul Graffiti Studios. Thanks again for joining us for West Coast Wednesdays. We're talking about digital audio workstations, Ableton Live, Logic Pro, Final Cut, so on and so forth, mixing, mastering, and sound design. Today, we're going to be getting into transferring files from Logic into Ableton and how I would do that and how to set up a whole new session in Arrangement View to do that transfer. This is also something you can do if you go to a studio that's in a different DAW than you, and you don't have to worry about that. You can actually export all the individual files and do something like this. So let's get into this today. So what we have here is Ableton Live 11 that we're working with. And what I have here is, I'll just clean this up and make our tracks look like this, okay? I have my audio tracks. I did Command T and just did this all the way down through 18. Oh, looks like we have 17. Let's do one more. So we have 18 audio tracks coming in. And what we want to do is put a start area. I'll delete this one. And I'm going to start just a little bit off the one so we can kind of see where this is at. Okay, and this end it's ambiguous right now. But these are not named currently, and these will automatically name when you bring in your session. So let's go ahead and look at our files, and I'll bring this down so you guys can kind of see my organization a little bit. Okay, what we have here is our session. So I saved this session into the same folder that has all of our different recordings. These are all the same length. These are waveform. They're at 44.1 waveform, and I did not normalize them. And I bounced them from the start to finish of this pretty long, about 15-minute jam that I did with Fraser and Cello Joe some years ago, just before the pandemic. And what I wanted to do was bring this into Ableton because it's just a DAW that I know better. So I bounced all the individual files, and I had the naming of them where I added in the name on the front, and then at the very end it says Mushy Vibes 6 bounce. I probably could also put the BPM in there, but I put it in my folder name. Okay, so I found out the BPM was 120 BPM. So I know that when I'm coming into Ableton, it's already at, let's bring this to 120 BPM. Okay. And this doesn't quite matter if you have your settings. Let's go in here and show our export import settings. Audio. All right. So let's go into our different options. Auto warp long samples, right? I have that off mode, okay? If I had that on, it would actually auto warp them using default mode, complex, that's good. The fades, I do like the clip edges faded. And let's see here. Let's warped loop, warp, short samples. Cool. So anything that's warped loop. So this is kind of how my setup is right here. You guys can obviously change this to your own liking. So mine is in off mode on purpose, so that when I bring this in, I already have this set to 120 BPM. Let's go back to our folder here. We don't need this one open, just this one. And we're just going to go ahead and drop this in right there. Look at that right away. Our name of the file is that entire name, right? So this is the amp Evan file. Now, something that I've found in the previous versions is that sometimes it actually probably isn't just the warp mode. The very beginning of the file is kind of like cut off. So we just want to extend that out and make sure that that's not cut off. And the end, the same thing. All right. So now we have our other tracks, and we're just going to drop them in one by one. I often do this on a separate screen so that I can just have it stay up there. So drums 2 just happened. Let's see, yep, now I'm on guitar. And so this just makes it a lot easier to have your track's name in import mode. Okay, so it's coming in as whatever they're named as. I might want to change the front of these to be different things here. I also like to organize it by the player, right? So Evan was playing the Moog. I might want to bring that up later on to his location. But also some of these are already kind of organized in somewhat of an order. Okay, so we have our other files here. I could also just extend this down and put these next ones in. And they're all lining up to the start position. Right there. And these are slowly warping, or slowly syncing up. If I start playing this, they should all line up. If you have any issue with them lining up, then that's where you would come in and you would just make sure that the very beginning of the track is matching in location, right? And you can extend that out. Like I said, just pulling that sideways. So we did the V6 just now. We're on V7. Looks like we only have 16 files. Let's make sure that's enough. Yep. Let's go through and count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All right. We have 2 extras. Let's go ahead and delete those for now. We can always add in more. And let's see how this sounds. All right. Turning off the main here so I'm not too loud. All right, notice how the click was not lined up, right? So this is where I want to find my drum track. Here it is, this red track right here. And we're going to have a select all moment, Command A. And I'm going to zoom in. Let's go ahead and get a little bit closer before we do that. And select A again. Go off grid. So I'm not to the very beginning, right? So I want to be able to slide left or right. So my point right there, and let's try that again with the drums on. Put the click on again. All right, so it looks like our downbeat is a little bit different than what I just did. It's going to be like that one, right about there. And we can always get more precise by zooming in again, but looks like my click is a little bit too fast. So let's try a little bit slower and see what we are at here. So it's still a little bit fast. I'm guessing we did some round number here, making sure that our click is on that one. And that was too much, right? So notice how our down to down, now it's a little bit before. So we go ahead and bring that to 1/112. Still a little slow. So we're slowly just kind of finding the right BPM. I guess I didn't actually do the exact BPM. It looks like that. So look at that. 115. Boom, boom, boom. Visually, that looks really precise. Let's see what that sounds like now. So I obviously have it in the wrong location for where the down is, but I think we have our moment. All right. And we're right on. So 115, it's not 120. All right. So this is a moment where I just want to go save as. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this into a whole new session. Boom. And save this to 115 because, and I can actually delete the whole last one. Save 115 right on top. So I don't want to have any, I don't ever want to do that again, right, with this track. It's really nice to kind of move forward with your stuff, not have to move back again or repeat something. So here we are with our start. We don't exactly know where we want to start this exact track, but it's going to be somewhere, you know, on grid here. All right, Cello Joe being a goofball. And now, so let's go ahead and start putting on our racks, custom racks. Okay, so right away, I have my ukulele bass rack. I think that might be kind of cool on the Moog. Let's go ahead and try that out. And solo. You can always take it on and off. Go to the next track. Bringing that down a little bit in volume. We're just kind of getting a basic rack here that's saying compression, REQ, a little bit of chorus, a limiter, a utility, which is our gain structure, and then we also have these different amps. But I just took that off for now, but that could be something I can turn on at certain moments. Let's go to our next part, drums. Okay, this one I'm just going to instantly put our drum bus on because that's just going to allow me to have control of where that boom is. Bring that back a little bit. All right, let's go find those vocals that were just standing out all naked like. So here we have some vocals and And this had a lot of effects on our session, but I really like having the ability to bring in my own here. So custom rack, let's see, Justin vocals, rack 2. We don't need that up so high. Don't need it rolled off so much. And I'm going to add one more thing that I really like on here, which is the different effects. I love a Will Marshall effect right here that I've customized. I'll put that right on the end, and we'll talk about where this will be. All right, so we just got into the vocals, and we have our fade to gray and our beat masher kind of set up here to kind of mess around with, maybe do some automations on our track, some compression and EQ. And we should just go through and maybe duplicate that to other tracks now instead of having to redo all this. And one way to do this is actually create a whole chain with all of this into its own. So notice how we have some of this is not inside this vocal effects processor. I can put that inside this chain. And now this macro can actually be increased. Let's increase it just by the ones that we want for now. I want fade to gray and beat masher to be right up there in front. So, because I use those often. And it renames it. You can kind of see that right over here, that 1 and 2 just got renamed. We have a few more here listed. Let's just keep it to 2 until we have more. And we can save this now. Save as vocal effects, rack and effects. And call this 3. Now, when I have the third one like this, I'm going to want to put this into my drum, my racks custom and effects channel. Maybe the orange one too. No. Instruments. No, it's fine. All right. So now that I have that in those channels, right, I can go into these and they'll be in my custom racks area. And I have 3 and 2 listed here. I want to get rid of this one. I'll just go ahead and clear all colors. So when I come back to that, just 3 should be listed. And there it is, right there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put that onto our other vocals. Looks like we have another one here, and audio effects are not on that channel at all yet. And let's try. There's quite a bit of vocals here. Let's see what these are doing. So these are actually up right now. So I want to keep these down, and I probably want to save it that way so it just comes in clean. Let's go ahead and save this one more time to vocal 4. And do the exact same thing again. Put these in the areas that we want. And custom racks 4. There we go. So we'll put these onto the channels that we have not put any effects onto yet. There. And notice how it's all coming in with the effects off now, so we can put in as much as we want. These are all pretty high in volume. We'll drop these all down for now. And Marin's vocal does not have it yet. Okay. Put a little bit on that, on her voice right away and see what that sounds like.
Healing darkness, darkness to light, from now to the past, from now to the past. Yeah. Whoa.
So she has a little bit of kind of popping going on and whooshes on the low end. You can just cut that out down here to make that sound a little bit better.
Healing darkness, darkness to light, from now to the past, from now to the past, yeah. Oh. Healing darkness, darkness to light, from now to the past, from now to the past, yeah.
Right away, the bass is going to sound a lot better once we get this in here. Let's go ahead and make this for the cello now. So we're just going and putting in our custom effects, right? I'll change where my face is here so you guys can kind of see down the full rack that we have in here and what it's doing. I can open up the EQ to see that a little bit better. We've highlighted an area and we can loop that, Command L, and just kind of loop. Kind of curious how the drum bus will sound with bass with the cello. Wow. It's definitely peaking at the moment, but I'm kind of liking what it's doing. Put this limiter, -0.5. I'm gonna put this inside the chain now. Put the limiter, I'm gonna put the limiter after that. Dropping the volume a little bit. This is without it. Let's hear that sounds. Wow. Wow, it's sounding a lot better already. Cool. So this is, this is called ukulele bass right now, saved that way, but it's obviously kind of custom for the cello at the moment. And so what I want to do is maybe open this up a little bit more to kind of hear more of the higher cello notes. I really like the distorted cello sound. Drum bus. I'm gonna have to tell Cello Joe about this one. Your gain staging has a lot of different options for gains, right? So it's really, depending on which one you use, can change your distortion and how it's clipping or not clipping. I'm hearing a Fraser wah ukulele bass. What's that one look like? Let's go ahead and just take pieces of this one. So I could put this over here as a separate little area, and I can A/B the Fraser wah versus the one over here just by, let's go ahead and bring this smaller, right? So these are our two different ukulele basses. So this is the one that has the drum bus that we just put on with that distortion, and then this is the one with the phaser in it. I really like the tone of the first one, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and put this one into my first effects, and let's see here. So it just took it out, right? So I'm going to go ahead and open this up now and go ahead and put this phasing crossover phaser, put it in the chain, and put it back in the wrong one. There we go. Okay, getting a little confused here. There it is. So when I could just go ahead and grab a new one of this, right? But I just want to show you can kind of mess around with just putting these into different chain mappings. You can even also put this into a separate chain down here as well. And that gives it its own channel, right? You can kind of have that pan a certain way. So cross phaser is right here. Depending on which one, I can't even talk over this. It's so boomy right now, which is awesome. That's what I'm really going for. So we have our different chains here that you can put your different effects on. If you pan a phaser to one side, some of your effects of phasing left and right might not come through. So let's go ahead and just highlight this one and listen to this for a second. So it's panning left and right in my ears a little bit. So I'm going to kind of keep that center. I also want some more intensity with this one. So I think I need some more volume on this. It might be in my favor to kind of just put that in this chain right here. But I kind of like my settings that I just did. So let's go ahead and just cut this down and put in the specific things that I want. I want a utility. Let's go ahead and put that toward the end here. Okay. Nice. Let's go ahead and unsolo. We need some limiters, stronger limiters, because we're really pushing this quite a bit in volume. So we want some strong ceilings. Let's go ahead and do like -2 here, dB on that side. And our other side of our chain, let's bring that back to 0 and go -1 dB. All right. I'm going to have to send this off to Cello Joe. Super cool cello sounds coming through the drum bus. Pretty basic EQ here. A little bit of chorus on each. Obviously a compressor in the front. And I'm going to go to a spot that we're just plucking and see how that sounds. This one doesn't have any of the effects yet. Let's go ahead and put that on our last bit. So when you have your effect chains, really your racks customized, it's as easy as dropping them in and then going through and customizing them from where you start, right? Could be really fun to automate that a little bit, for example. I'm noticing that the cello here has quite a bit going on, so I'm going to kind of balance that out. And this is really an area that we just bumped a lot with the drum bus, so if I then take this out, it's kind of like undoing the drum bus. So it's really finding a happy medium. Okay, so you guys can just see the whole screen now. And the reason why I want to do that is that up here, I have these all named specific things. I have 3 reverbs and 3 delays on my returns. This is what I love in my presets, learned from Oz Fritz, one of our teachers here at SF Garnish, award-winning producer, Grammy award-winning producer. He really told me that, you know, to set up these different reverbs, then you can choose what style of reverb you want on these sends and returns and not have to, you know, import them or have them in your rack per se, and save on your CPU a little bit. So here we are. We have our guitar. Let's go back to our guitar channel. We have nothing on it right now. Let's go ahead and put some of the smaller reverb. Medium. And the long. And this is the 1.2, 2.5, and 3.5 millisecond delay. Or I shouldn't say delay, I should say a reverb. But you can kind of see it's the decay time, right? So it's showing up right there. So let's go ahead and hear that in the mix now. I heard some interesting sounds there. I thought I heard a little juniper in the background. So Mama Maren was doing the vocals, and there was some child noises. Changing up the chorus here a little bit. It's really important that you solo the one that you're working on, hear it how it sounds on its own, and then back and forth A/B it with the mix too. The hi-hat is really too hot for me. So to do that, because this is all on a bounced track now from our other session. So our hi-hat is not on its own little rack, right? It's all this waveform right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just change where I hear the highs by bringing in a basic EQ. So let's go ahead and do that. Go into our EQs and filters, EQ 8. There's a bunch of presets here, but I'm just going to go ahead and take the basic one, drop it in. And what I like to do is change up all of these to be kind of these specific frequencies, drop high and low. Let's listen to this now. So there it is, that high. It's coming in around like 4K up, 4,000 hertz and up. So I'm dropping out those highs a little bit, which is that hi-hat. Our DI one is still completely clean. Let's go ahead and just see what this sounds like. I'm going to go and save this now as our Cello Joe chain, mushy chain. Mushy vibes. I always like to put 01 just to know it's kind of my first version here. I sometimes might update that. I'll put that to our custom racks. And now let's go ahead and drop that onto our DI channel and listen to this. This is a really cool effect right now where I'm panning his cello to a certain side. All right, so let's go ahead and mark this part. So we're starting from this area, where my marker is. I'll say intro option, and I'm going to go ahead and start doing some new sampling. I'll say this as sample 1. And we're going to record this channel, making sure that we're off from there. Okay. So this is a really unique scenario where I'm going to purposely record just this part into a specific channel. So I'm going to send this just to sample 1. And I'm going to make sure that this is getting that same receiving part. Let's go ahead and just put that in auto mode so we can only hear that. And pressing play in solo. Cool. I really like it with that higher part right there. Okay, I will just go ahead and delete these automations because I didn't really want to record these. Right-clicking and deleting the automations. And I'm going to go ahead and start from that same location again, bringing these back a tad bit on the cello. Didn't need that as much. It's mostly the drums is the intro. I kind of wanted to get those banging off in the distance. Taking off some automation points. All right, maybe we'll start where we were and slowly bring those in. I see. So we actually made a quick loop over here. Very fun. But we also want to make sure that we have this in the right location. Let's go ahead and turn that off. Let's go back into our arrangement view and record over there. And make sure that we have our send in the right location. Having an external device really helps out because you can go in and have that show up, right, as the thing that you're looking at. So we want to put our mixes up on this channel. Sends on B. There we are. Okay, so I have that controlling over here on my external hardware. And let's go ahead and record that again from right here. Starting off with really low drums and bringing that up. So notice when I come down here now, right, that's what we're recording over in this location right here. So let's go ahead and bring this in and just solo this. This is showing the drums of that send that I'm sending more drums reverbed out. And right here, we wanted to go back into our regular. So here's a trick. We're going to go ahead and cut this all out. Command E, zero that out. Now we don't need to do anything here. Let's go ahead and fade that, see how that sounds. And it might even be that our other drums can fade in a little bit. Let me bring this up a little bit closer. And I also have this desire to pan that. So we're getting to some really custom mixing techniques, right? I want to pan using my utility. Put that in there at the very end. And we can click on Show Automation, pan that. So as that comes in, fades in, it's going to also pan. And we don't have this unsoloed yet. Let's try that. Here's a little intro idea. Cool. It's a little long, but that's a moment where we can even bring in certain instruments just to kind of, you know, accent certain areas. So let's go ahead and get the guitar. And our guitar utility, I think, has a little gain staging in here. Show automation. We want to have this a little bit lower right here in volume, and maybe even come in at just certain moments. So we'll even take this out entirely, just zero out certain moments. And okay, now we have kind of an intro popping out. Command-Shift-T opens up a new MIDI, and I'm going to purposely put in a white noise riser to kind of just accent that transition a little bit. So these are all things that I've done in previous sessions. If you haven't checked out West Coast Wednesdays, please do so. We're live every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And yeah, you can check out what's going on. So here we are going into the next part. Let's check this out. I want instruments, and I have operator already highlighted. And I'm going to change this to white noise. And Command 1 or Command 2 opens or closes. If I go Command 2, it opens it really big. When I click now, it makes it the entire length that I want. Go back to Command 1, make that smaller. I want that a little bit longer. And just Command J, join that. And we'll just paint in a full riser. Any note really works because all it is white noise, right? I'll bring this down a little bit because it's going to be annoying. Right. Now, inside of our effects, we want our auto filter, and we're going to automate this riser. I like to start around 400 because that's kind of when you start hearing it, and then rising that up to about 5 or 6K. And right away, I want to be able to put in phase. Taking off some stuff. So it's almost acting like a drum break, really clean, right? This area that's fading in. coming in. Cool. So we are starting to have a little intro of a part of a song. We have 15 minutes here of this live jams. We're just kind of picking out some ideas. We'll pass them around to people that played and see what happens from there. Opening up for the voice to coming through right there. Little moments when the voice This is where I'd love to throw some effects. So showing the automation on Marin's voice. Throwing that. Command 4 really helps out. Just really get that more precise, right? If you don't want to go right to grid. Just doing some stuff by hand here. You can also do this with your knob, which is super fun. Taking off automation by pressing A, zooming out by the minus feature function on your keyboard. Command 4 going back to grid. All right, so this is kind of the end of it right here. All right, so we have a little something here just from this session where we can kind of, we started by bouncing this in Logic from our Logic session that we did at Soul Graffiti Studios, and then brought this into Ableton, and we talked about how to import what warp or non-warp modes you want to use, how to get your click track to really click in, right? We played to a click track or a beat constantly, so this will stay in tempo at 115 BPM all the way through. And what we can do now is let's go ahead and just render this as an idea for now. And then what I often like to do is just send this out to whoever played on it and get some feedback on some ideas that they might have. Cello Joe, Marin, Evan Fraser. Command-Shift-R in the section that we've highlighted. And we're going to, keep this all stereo. It's going to be a MP3 or wave. Let's do both. And in regard to organization, I like to bring it to the same file that we were in initially, just so we know where it is. So we have our 115, boom, and here's our bounce. Bounce 01. JA bounce 01. And save. All right, so there you have it. We just bounced that out, and it's going to take just a couple minutes here to bounce that out, and then I can send that off to the crew. If you have any questions, please contact us at sf@garnishmusicproduction.com or call us at 510-463-GROW. Thank you to the Garnish Music Network for inviting us out for another session in Ableton Live. We also deal with Logic and Pro Tools, mixing and mastering classes, and sound design. If you're interested in signing up for a course, please contact us today. We have courses going on worldwide, year-round, every week, in person and online, 8 locations worldwide, hundreds of amazing teachers. And contact us when you can. We look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great rest of your day.